As I have been living abroad for over 2.5 years now, especially in Europe, Portugal, I receive many messages from young/medium/older talented people from Bangladesh who want to know how they can get abroad quickly without the stress of studying in a university with a work visa/permit. They describe to me that they have so and so experience and qualification in such and such field. Then I ask them if they know how to clean, or if they have experience in the kitchen, or if they can load and unload products, or if they can drive a car or a bicycle. They ask me why. I answer them that maybe your qualifications are enough if you are lucky, because why do you think you will easily find a job if you cannot speak/write/understand their language? Why would they sponsor your visa if they know you will keep asking them for a work permit? Why do they offer you such opportunities without you having the required qualifications? Our people think that the job market in Europe is just like the job market in Bangladesh. In Bangladesh you will not do blue-collar jobs if you have some shiny/smart degrees, but here in Europe it's different. Here no one cares what degree you have because they will pay you something much higher than what you would get in your country. Yes, of course the rents, electricity, water and gas bills are much higher, but you can still balance your income with your expenses. In Bangladesh, an MBA graduate gets BDT 20,000, which is not even €200 at the beginning of his career. Here, the same man would earn €2,000, depending on which European country you choose, regardless of your age and experience. So why do you think your work experience and qualifications matter to them if you do not meet the requirements? Another big disadvantage of Europe is the language. No matter which country you choose, except Ireland or the UK, you have to learn the language. They do not give a shit if you speak English like the British or Americans. You have to speak their language. Because they were not colonized by the British. Finally, they colonized many countries around the world, and their language is spoken as the main language in almost all of their former colonies and currently occupied territories. For example, Spanish is the second most widely spoken language in the world. From Latin America to parts of Central America, from Europe to Africa, Spanish is spoken in their former colonies. The same is true of French, Portuguese and Italian. These are all Latin languages, and they are still dominant. You will find that French/Spanish/Portuguese do not speak in English because they do not give a shit. If you think you can survive in Europe with English, you should choose English-speaking countries. There are many English-speaking countries. Why should you choose European countries and not learn their language? When I came to Sweden from Bangladesh, I practiced greetings in Swedish a little bit because I knew I would need some of it because you cannot learn all of it in your home country. The same thing happened when I moved to Portugal. I started watching YouTube videos about learning Portuguese because Portuguese is one of the most spoken languages in the world after Spanish. I kept practicing with my Portuguese/Brazilian clients in non-grammatical Portuguese and kept trying to communicate with them. They corrected me and I kept learning from them, and now I can speak the language fluently without any training. It takes time and enthusiasm. You might think that you learn the foreign language anyway, but that's not the case. Even if you stay for 5 years but do not want to learn the language, you will only end up between greetings. You will always think, I will learn tomorrow. This way you will never learn the language and never be able to get the advantage out of Europe. Also, I would always advise those who want to come to Europe not to come when they are well settled there. Life is not bed of roses here. Does that mean I was not settled? Absolutely not. I worked in a multinational company, and my motivation was different. It was not about a job for me, but about social security. If the only reason you want to come to Europe is because you think you will get a better job, or your job will be secure, or whatever. Believe me, no job abroad is fixed or settled, even if you get the best of the best permanent job contracts. If you get laid off, it will eventually happen. No matter what kind of job you had in Europe. If you come for immigration or social security or to raise your children in a country without pollution, corruption, with free medical care, free education for children and a safer country, then Europe would be the best choice because most European countries are welfare countries. If your only goal is that you are frustrated with your current job / you think your job is safe in Europe, then you should not move to Europe. If you are thinking from an immigrant's point of view, then Europe could be paradise for you. Why do I distinguish Europe from other English-speaking countries? Because it would be easier for you to find a professional job in English-speaking countries because there is no language barrier unless you are satisfied with washing dishes. But in Europe it is not the same. The language is different, not as materialistic as in the United States or the United Kingdom. In Europe, you get 30 days of summer leave, paid maternity, and paternity leave if your wife is pregnant, which is hard to do in English-speaking countries. So, if you are planning to move to Europe, keep these things in mind. Even if you come here to do a foreign degree from a European country, out of 20 Bangladeshis, probably only one would get a real desk job. Now a lot of people would say, keep trying. In reality, it doesn't work like that. Single and unmarried students, as well as married couples without children, have some interesting things to say. Considering that their stress level is undoubtedly far lower than ours, who must manage children, families, and possibly parents who are waiting for remittances from Bangladesh. Only a small percentage of singles and couples without children can make to this. In general, it doesn't appear or seem like this. As a result, you should consider your motivation for moving to Europe. Are you here to study, immigrate, or raise your child in a corruption-free, tuition-free, medically cost-free, safer environment with social security, or are you there for another reason? You may also need to take into account the fact that it may take years to obtain a residence permit if your visa has expired and you have filed an expression of interest. Until the issue is settled, you will not be allowed to return to your home country, not even for a short stay. Next comes the strain and worry of looking for a job and finding shared housing. Therefore, in my opinion, if you enjoy living in your current country and truly do not need to relocate overseas, then do not do so. I've witnessed a lot of families becoming depressed after having to return to Bangladesh. Keep in mind that moving abroad is a one-way ticket to death. Unless you are a minister's son or daughter, a member of parliament, or an industrialist, you can't make a return. Your life would be horrible otherwise. You would be asked repeatedly why you returned back to your country and why you couldn't settle down overseas by co-workers, friends, and family, which would ruin your life. Maybe you couldn't succeed there. That's how individuals think. Everyone is very critical of others. There is no escaping this. Thus, consider your options carefully before moving. Once something is done, it cannot be undone. Subscribe to my YouTube channel at https://www.youtube.com/@indigopodcasts if you're thinking about moving to Europe.